Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Amy, and Amy gives a monthly contribution, which I'm going to use for this video. So, I've talked about these people who have risen to positions of prominence, politicians, the head of organizations, who are criminally insane. People who would have been in mental institutions 20, 30, 40 years ago, who, since the closing of those mental institutions and the trying to trade mental incarceration with SSRIs and pills, this is the after effect of it. This is from a Senate hearing yesterday, where you have the Secretary of State of Illinois and a couple other lunatics. There's one that's fighting against all this, talking about, and you've probably seen in the media, at these school board meetings, these parents reading these books, these sexually explicit books that are in the school libraries to children. And when the parents speak out about it, you're hearing that the parents have no right, have no say in what their children see or hear, and so on and so forth. We're not talking, and there's like, this is censorship, this is book burning. These aren't public libraries we're talking about. This isn't like the town or the city library. These are specific school libraries. Not everybody can just, any jamoke off the street can't walk into a school and go into their library and start checking out books. Only the students. And it's segregated from the parents, so the parents don't even know what's going on. So what we're going to see is the questioning of Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, and he's pretty good. And most of the senators are trash, Republican and Democrat. And I've told you, Republicans are losers, but there's a few decent ones, and Kennedy's one of them. So let's get into it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me it's a little too conceptual, or I don't know, metaphysical or theological, or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and I will quote from it. I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began.
This is going to be very explicit, and mind you, these are in grammar, middle schools, public, and high schools, these books.
And to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated. He asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself.
Well, at least they're practicing safe sex.
This was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. Close quote.
Public school library, not city libraries, not town libraries, not public libraries, school libraries, grammar, middle, high school, a mix of pleasure and pain.
All Boys Aren't Blue. The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay? Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot.
The fact that this has to be even read in a Senate hearing is mind-blowing. It shows you how far we have fallen as a society. This is what happens when you let the criminally insane run the streets. When you let criminally insane sociopaths run the streets instead of having them in mental institutions.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life, then I want you inside of me. End quote. Now, Mr. Secretary.
This is the Secretary of State for Illinois, and where Chicago is, Great state.
What are you asking us to do?
What do you want from us?
Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
First of all, there's this...
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, and the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing.
They're disturbing coming out of your mouth, but it's all right for your kids to read. And this is what happens because parents go to these school board meetings where these schools are in the school system, start reading from it, and then the school board shuts them down and says that's inappropriate, tries to get offended, but it's all right for their children to have access to these books.
But what I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's
point.
What
are you advocating?
No, you're not. Because if that's what you're putting in, yeah, you are.
We are advocating for...
And here's the problem. They're advocating for telling the parents to keep their mouths shut, but he knows he really can't say it, but yet at the same time they can't help themselves.
Random parents not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the world view of every single manner on these issues.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. We want parents, random parents, whatever that means. What do you mean a random parent? If they're a parent with a child in the school, how are they a random parent? We don't want them to challenge the worldview. Whose worldview? Who decided that this worldview is the worldview? They decide in their own mind. And he realizes, he realizes he can't just say, yeah, cool, we want everybody reading this. But he can't acknowledge that parents have rights over their children, should have final say over their children. Because if he says that, their whole agenda goes down the toilet.
Getting conceptual again.
I'm not getting conceptual. I'm saying that...
you are. Yes, you are. Because I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what some of you are saying, the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries?
To compare To Kill a Mockingbird to that, nobody's glorifying rape. In To Kill a Mockingbird, there's a rape scene because it's pertinent to the story. Nobody's glorifying it. This is the glorification of sexual activity to minors. A how-to to minors, to grade school children, to middle schoolers, to high schoolers. And he's trying to say he don't want rando parents to have a say. Criminally insane.
I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about,
If you're going to propose something, you ought to be able in 30 seconds to be able to explain what
Senator-
you're asking.
Right, and he can't. Well, he knows what he wants, but he just knows he can't say it publicly. He can't say the quiet part out loud, though he's kind of is.
Us to do.
Senator-
Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sex.
Mix. Insane. When the criminally insane go to Washington, I don't know if this is a guy or a girl, whatever it is. I think it's a female presenting as a male. I think. Criminally insane goes to the Senate and says, "Call me Mix Cameron." Like, why would you even let them go, other than to say anything after that, other than to let him, her, whatever, expose themselves?
Sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Genderqueer.
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
That's not like, see, and this is the problem when you try to have a conversation. Well, that book doesn't, not in my, well, the other book. These books are in libraries, and you're here testifying in support of these books. Like, at this point, like, why would you even carry on with a lunatic like this, other than to expose them as a lunatic?
Suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between
Should
students,
parents have a
and
say?
educators.
Facilitation of collaborate. No, there's no collaboration with how I raise my child. There's no, no. Again, all this LGBTQ, all the LGB, whatever, however it started, was always supposed to be about love and, we just want to get married and we're not like we're going to try to convert your children. How did we get from there? And you keep want to talk about slippery slopes. How do we get to it's just about love and we just want to be married and live like everyone else? Nobody's coming after your children. Nobody's trying to convert your children to a collaboration with the no. There's no collaboration.
Parents should be working with students and educators to be
Okay.
making decisions because
All right.
students are.
And who
these-
decides ultimately? The librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
book review committees in the community in my school district.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay. Well,
Do you have children? I guarantee you this person has no children. So why are you actively involved in pushing sexually explicit material on children if you're not a criminally insane, sociopathic degenerate?
well, I'm asking you, how do we decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available in the library? What would you, if you were running things, what would you do?
All Boys Aren't Blue, the scene you mentioned, is about sexual abuse.
I know what.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It is not. That is a lie.
It's about.
It's not
what would
erotic.
you do in
It's not. That is a lie. And it knows it's lying.
terms of making the books available? Would you say anybody can see them, or they have to be in a special session?
Students who do not read books like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is appropriate.
I understand that.
They cannot learn
I understand, but none of
about
you want to
abuse.
answer my question.
Oh, so if you don't read this, you won't know about abuse. That is such bullshit. Again, they push these things on you as if it's for society's own good, for your children's own good. Well, if he doesn't read how to have sex with a man, with another boy, and learn how to give blowjobs, okay, in the mix of pleasure and pain, they're not going to understand about abuse. Criminally insane sociopath. setting an agenda.
Question. You come here and you say censorship is bad, and of course it's bad.
Of course.
But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye.
Right.
So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard is the librarians. And parents have nothing to do with it. And if that's your response, what planet did you just parachute in from?
Parents, Senator.
Or what country, more appropriately? This is not China.
Parents, Senator.
You think that shit's in China? You think those books are in China? Think again.
All due respect, parents absolutely have a say. My parents were
They have a say, just not the final say.
immigrants, came to this country. We never checked out books without our parents seeing what books we were reading. They encouraged us to read
Mr.
books.
Secretary, I understand this is good for your politics back home.
It's got nothing to do with
but
my
I'm not-
politics.
no,
My bill is
Of course
passed.
it does.
My
It
bill is
has
passed.
everything to do with your
I'm here-
politics.
I'm here to-
But you came here with a problem, and I'm trying to understand the solution, and you don't have one.
We solved the solution.
Other than,
we solved the solution in
other than to
Illinois.
tell us that we don't agree with you, you're on the wrong. We'll be on the wrong side of history.
We solved the problem in Illinois. We fixed it because we.
Right, because Illinois is running to, yeah, that's the problem that needed to be fixed, and I'm sure it's fixed.
Well, there
Pass
are
laws
others
that
you
make-
could work on.
Well, that's why I'm
out
here
of
to help.
time. Thank
I'm
you,
to
Mr.
help,
Chairman.
to help other states make these decisions.
Yeah, and let's see how Boys Aren't Blue is described by its author. This is from Amazon, okay, if it's about sexual abuse. From the memoirs of getting his teeth kicked out by bullies at age 5 to flea marketing with his loving grandmother to his first sexual relationships, this young adult memoir weaves together the trials and triumphs faced by black queer boys. So it's, again, about emasculating black men. It's about feminizing and emasculating black men once again. Both a primer for teens eager to be allies as well as reassuring testimony for young queer men of color, All Boys Aren't Blue covers topics such as gender identity, toxic masculinity, brotherhood, family, structural marginalization, consent, and black joy. Johnson's emotionally frank style of writing will appeal directly to young adults. Where is it about sexual abuse? Seems like the only abuse it claims, it purports to be calling out is toxic masculinity, structural marginalization, consent. Doesn't seem like there was a lack of consent in that scene that they wrote, that a mixture of pleasure and pain. It wouldn't seem like it was a lack of consent going on there. It's bullshit. They lie, and then they'll lie some more. This is what happens when you got the criminally insane running society. When the criminally insane go to Washington. So, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to everybody watching, and thank you to Amy for sponsoring. Please leave any opinions or advice, opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.